Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition. And this is Midday with Reverend Don. Welcome. And as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your questions or comments into whatever platform you're watching on. They will appear here in my chat room for most of those platforms. And as I often say, I very much enjoy that instant communication that we can have. I hope you're having a lovely day and a lovely week here in central Illinois. It is a whopping 18 degrees, 18 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold. Not as cold as it was yesterday, but we're more than halfway through February, so um, groundhog or no groundhog, winter can only go on so long, um, and we should be through the longer part of it at this point. Um, I will say that winter is not my favorite season by any um, course of events. Although, I mean, it's pretty, and I know a lot of people really love to see that change in the seasons so very strongly that we have here in the more northern latitudes. And hello to Nuben Graham in the chat room. It's good to see you, Nuben. Um, it is. I kind of enjoyed milder winters during the several years I lived in um, a more southerly climate. But on the other hand, um, I grew up here, and it is not unfamiliar to me. Now, today I was going to do some mini readings. And every now and then I do mini readings. So if you'd like a mini reading, hello to Jade in the chat room. It's good to see you, Jade Rising. And hello to Bimby in the chat room. It's good to see you, Bimby. If you'd like a mini reading, let me know. Otherwise, I will continue talking. And um, as I was finishing up Reverend Don's Book of Stones, Metals, and Crystals, um, I found myself thinking about people I've known in the psychic business. And I was talking, I think, just yesterday about Marlena the Rock Lady and Terry the Stone Lady. Two of the more interesting people I've known with some of the more interesting ways of reading. And I've talked about, and hello to Kayleen in the chat room. It's good to see you. And Kayleen says it's 52 here uh, in Melbourne, Australia, or NARM. And hello to Reverend Mary in the chat room. It's good to see you. And of course, Marlena the Rock Lady and Terry the Stone Lady both read stones. And Terry the Stone Lady will have you choose, I believe, 7 stones. And the stones that you choose, as well as the order in which you choose them, is what the reading is structured around. But I've known some people who had some very unusual styles of reading, occasionally even myself. There was the doll reader. I never actually met the doll reader, but I heard about her. And she had a table full of 40 dolls in all kinds of different costumes, and people would choose, again, I believe the 7 that appealed to them most, and she would read them by the qualities of those dolls. Um, that was one of the more unusual forms of reading I've encountered. Um, Rosemary Fletcher, a very good friend of many years ago, had a most unusual card deck. She was a palmist, among many other skills, but she had something I've never seen otherwise. It was um, a deck of reading cards based on palmistry. And she would draw cards from this deck and read them in a palmistic manner, um, which was a very unusual way of applying palmistry. And hello to Renee in the chat room. It's good to see you. And hello to Steve Taylor in the chat room. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. And Mary says it's 16 degrees here in Nashville. Please come get your weather. It snuck out of Illinois and came to Tennessee. And it seems to be in a lot of places just now. Um, it I remember when it first got cold here. It seemed so very cold, But at this point, we're far more used to it. And although some days are certainly colder than others, I do find that um, temperatures that a few weeks ago would have seemed freezing seem almost balmy now. And in just a few months, people will be complaining about how hot it is. And I've generally tried not to be one of those people. Um, but I have to say, as I've gotten older, the cold is more of an issue. And I remember my grandmother warning me about this. When I was a child, I loved the snow. And I loved to be out playing in the snow. And I didn't get particularly cold because, children are little furnaces. Um, and I was telling my grandmother how much I love this. And she said, something to the effect of, I'm sure you do. But when you get older, you may reconsider that. And she was totally right. That is a taste that changed. Um, because I find now I do get cold. And the bones hurt and all that good stuff that comes with getting old. But on the other hand, getting old is a privilege that's denied to many. And so the things that it brings us are worth the dealing with as long as we are enjoying the life that we are in. And I would have to say, overall, I'm enjoying the life that I am leading. Most of my life, I think, like everybody's life, has had its ups and downs, but for the most part, I look back fondly on it. And I've had some really remarkable adventures. We were talking yesterday about the idea of the autobiography. And yeah, there would be some adventures to put in that autobiography, I have to admit, and quite a few of them. Well, a lot of them, of course, have been with Ed the Pagan in the last 30 years. But there were also some very interesting adventures with my late wife, Winter, which just kind of raised the question: how on earth did I get in that situation? Um, but we'll have to see if they make their way into the book. Kayleen says, I'm also finding myself feeling the cold more as I age, especially once I was over 60. Yeah, I have to agree. And Steve says it's 21 degrees in West Virginia, where Steve is. Yeah, it's definitely winter. And hello to Aisha in the chat room, who would like to ask a psychic question. Certainly, what would you like to ask? And Reverend Mary says, snow angels are totally out of the question now. I might not be able to get back up. And that is the thing, isn't it? I my biggest issue with winter isn't really the cold. It's the ice when we have that, or slippery snow, because I really do worry about falling. Um, some of you will know I broke my back some decades ago, and although it's mostly healed over the years, I do always worry about that sort of accident happening. And it happened when I fell down a flight of stairs on a February morning. Um, so I worry about ice on the stairs. I worry about ice. And Kayleen says, here it is Bidarap, or dry season, when female common brown butterflies are flying. Bowat, or tussock grass, is long and dry, and the southern cross is high in the south at sunrise. I've been to Australia. I've been to Melbourne, particularly for the Parliament of the World's Religions, and it was a wonderful place. I would love to go back one day. So Aisha has stated her question, and she wants to ask about Zaid, the guy my marriage talks are going on. Can I check what kind of guy he is? So let's see what we can get. And so I'm going to shuffle the cards for Aisha on the subject of Zaid. And you can see me shuffling. Today I'm using the Hoi Polloi Tarot. The Hoi Polloi Tarot is the very first tarot I ever had. Hello to Spack Fan in the chat room. And we'll draw 3 cards for Aisha. And we have drawn the Nine of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the Prince of Swords. So we've drawn 3 swords for you. And swords are often cards related to conflict. The first card, the Nine of Swords, says that whatever you're afraid of here, whatever you're suspecting, you should pay attention to. If you're having a bad feeling, there's a reason for it. And Aisha says in the chat room, I was scared, so I said no, because I didn't hear good about his character. And yeah, this says to me that you were right to say no. Whatever you were afraid of here is absolutely so. And were you to go forward with this, you would have to deal with that. We have the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords says, trust your experience, trust the things that you have heard, trust your judgment, do not be dissuaded. And the Page of Swords says, at the same time, be careful with your communication. Make sure that you say things in the right way, but stand your ground. And yes, what you worry about with this person, you should be worried about. And I would strongly recommend not going forward with it. And there we go. I hope that is helpful to you. Swackfan says, I'm currently filling out forms for a background check with law enforcement, and I would like to know where this path is going to lead. So we will draw 3 cards for Swackfan. And what I do, which of course I've commented upon before, is I first clear the cards every time, and then I will shuffle them for the question. And Aisha says, thank you, Aisha. I hope it was helpful. And Steve says, I try to help the animals stay warm and fed, and that's a wonderful thing. One of the people I follow on Instagram is Diane Schiffer, who has little cat houses for the local stray cats during the winter. She lives in Albion, New York, so they have a winter. And one cat in particular, Mr. Chaplin, because he has facial markings that resemble Charlie Chaplin. He lives in a little box on her porch that is insulated to keep him warm during the winter. And she has a heated water bowl for them, and it's very nice. When I lived in Florida, my housemate had little cat houses for the local stray cats. Even though their winter was not so bad, but still, it was bad enough. So let us draw 3 cards for Swackfan. Our first card, well, we've drawn 2, the Knight of Coins and the 3 of Cups. The 6 of Wands and the Hierophant. So when I went to draw the first card, a second one came with it. So I'm taking them both. And the Knight of Coins, the Knight of Pentacles, represents slow but steady growth. So it says be patient as you go forward with it. There'll be a need for patience, and things are, however, will progress steadily. With that, we have the 3 of Cups, which is celebration, success, happiness, particularly in communities. So I think you're going to be very happy with how this goes. Just be patient with its progress. The 6 of Wands is victory, and it says that you will actually find this brings you where you need to be. You'll be happy with this. It will be very positive for you. And then we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant represents spiritual guidance. So make sure you're listening to your spiritual guidance while you go forward with this path. And you will find that it leads to spiritual growth. And I think overall it's going to be very positive for you. So I highly recommend you continue pursuing it. And Steve says, yes, heated cat houses and water bowls for the strays. Um, yeah, there are lots of stray cats in the world. We have them here in our neighborhood, and they cannot have an easy time in an Illinois winter. So everybody who provides for them is doing a good deed. Um, Cats are an interesting creature. I've gone back and forth in my life between being a dog person and a cat person. I guess in the end, I get on very well with both of them, and also hamsters. I will always be a bit of a hamster person. Back in the 90s, we were raising hamsters for a while. There was a wall of hamsters in one bedroom. But I had a particular hamster. His name was Prince, and I would take him for a walk every day. And you might say, how do you walk a hamster? And the answer is I would walk him on my palms. And he was a very sweet, very loving hamster, which is not always how hamsters are. But I remember Prince very fondly. And there are many cats I remember fondly, many dogs I remember fondly. But of course, at present, it's Puppy and Other Puppy that have my affections. And you may remember that Puppy was sick last week, as was almost everybody in the house at one time or another. And it was very sad to see Puppy, who is normally a little bouncing ball of fur, just totally subdued and very clingy. But she's totally better now. She came and woke me up this morning, which um, is very nice when it happens. Um, Normally, she lives on a different floor than I do, but today she came bounding into my bedroom and gave me puppy kisses first thing in the morning, which works for me. I am a great fan of this. Um, I also used to quite enjoy um, the kitty um, kneading my hair because um, we had a cat who loved to play in my hair. And the general theory was that he had been separated from his mother a little too early, and this was reassuring to him because it was reminiscent of snuggling with the mother cat. But it was sweet. I enjoyed it. I also used to like to chew on my beard. Swagfan says, "Thank you, Reverend Don. Thank you, Swagfan." And we probably have time for one more reading if anyone is interested in one. Now, tomorrow, I will be broadcasting live from Gaia Thrift, and we'll be talking about some of the things we have there, some of the things we do there. And I hope you'll join us for that. Um, I'm working on a number of special metaphysical items for our next Metaphysical and Magic auction on February 28th. Steve Taylor says, glad to hear that she's better. I am too. Thank you, Steve. I also am preparing artwork for the Reverend Don art show that we're planning for May 9th. So I have a lot of things going on. And Kayleen says, our last cat has visited us a few times since passing and had been with us in previous lives. Willow was extremely loving and caring and still is. And yeah, our pets can spend many lifetimes with us, and they also will come back after crossing. I've lived in two different houses that had cat ghosts in them. One of them, the cat ghost had haunted a number of people who lived in the apartment until it was finally recognized who the cat was and how it had died. And then it stopped visiting because it was a ghost with unfinished business. And pets also will tend to reincarnate. And I mentioned Puppy and Other Puppy. Um, it's generally believed in the house that they are the reincarnation of Precious and Jules, who were the previous two dogs who both passed within a short period of one another, um, a few months before Puppy and Other Puppy were born. And Puppy and Other Puppy very strongly resemble Precious and Jules and replicate a number of their behaviors that they were never exposed to, which is quite interesting to have such an obvious example of reincarnation right in front of you. And hello to Jocelyn in the chat room, who would love to have a message from Spirit. So let's shuffle the cards for Jocelyn. And these. It amazes me that people in certain backgrounds do not think of animals as having souls, but if you do things like past life work and incarnational work, it's inescapable that they absolutely do. And Jocelyn says, I always feel like my cat is playing with a cat ghost. And yes, she totally could be. Totally could be. And in just a moment, we'll draw 3 cards for Jocelyn. And occasionally they can even act as spirit guides, though I haven't really encountered that too often. But I would have to say that I have encountered it. And of course, we all know that our dogs and cats can often see things we don't. And I totally believe that's exactly what's going on. So, we shall draw 3 cards for Jocelyn. And our first card is the 5 of Cups, followed by the 7 of Coins, followed by the 3 of Cups. And the 5 of Cups, and Mary says, my cat Tiger comes by for a ghostly cuddle from time to time. Yeah, absolutely, they totally do, at least when we're open to it. So the 5 of Cups says that Jocelyn is probably not feeling terribly good about some things that have happened or are happening. 5 of Cups is a card of sorrow, a card of not being pleased with situations. But it's followed by the 7 of Coins. And the 7 of Coins is, I'm going to say for this purpose, it's slow but steady growth. You can see the person in the card is portrayed as a gardener with a flourishing plant. And hello to Nikki Dodd in the chat room. And it says that things are coming, things are growing, things are changing. And be aware that whatever you might be unhappy with at present is going to pass away. It's going to be replaced by the 3 of Cups, which is happiness and celebration. So whatever may not be as you would like it right now is only temporary, and you're going to feel much better about things soon. I would say within a few weeks. And I'm going to draw 1 more card because of course I am. And I've drawn the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords says that as you're going through this process, be careful with your communications. Make sure that you do say whatever needs to be said. And refrain from saying things that maybe don't need to be said. Think about your communications before you engage in them. And there we go. I hope you find that helpful. And at this point, I'm going to clear my cards 1 more time. And I think we've done all the readings we have time for today. I want to thank you for joining me. And in just a moment, we will have a word from our sponsors. Why? Because we love our sponsors. And I'm also going to take a moment and show you a couple of pieces of artwork that I have just done. And I don't know if you can really see them terribly well on camera. But these are illustrations of some of the body's meridians. And they were done specially for the Book of Stones, Metals, and Crystals. And Jocelyn says, that makes sense. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jocelyn. I appreciate you too. And Now, let us have our word from our sponsors. Ready to unlock the secrets of the universe? Join me, Rev Don Lewis, for my metaphysical and magic auctions at Gaia Thrift at whatnot.com. Discover fascinating artifacts, mystical crystals, and rare and unusual books that could change your life. Don't miss this chance to bring a little magic into your world. Reverend Don's Metaphysical and Magic Auctions, where the extraordinary can become yours. And thank you to our sponsors, Equinox Learning Hub and Reverend Don's Metaphysical and Magic Auctions. Our next auction will be February 28th at 7 p.m. That's a Friday evening, and it will be on specifically metaphysical items, including some that will be new just for that. I hope you'll join us for that. I think that you will find some very interesting things. And hello to Janet Winston in the chat room. Steve Taylor says, very nice. Thank you, Steve. One of my intentions in my retirement had been to focus more on art. And I'm hoping to do more art this year and to focus a little bit more on my career as an artist. Art is one of the things I do greatly love. Art is, I find, a kind of meditation. When you're doing art, or at least when I'm doing art, I am, as they say, in the zone. And, hours can go by without the focus being interrupted. And it's a very, very interesting experience and a very pleasurable experience for me. So watch for more art coming in the future. And, and of course, my art is in many places that you might look for it, including many of our books from Corellian Publishing. The degree books are heavily illustrated. The omnibus, the super omnibus of spells and incantations is very heavily illustrated. So yeah, I've done a lot of artwork over the years. So I want to thank you for joining me. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And now let us close with our prayer, as we always do. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we rejoice in this walk we walk together. And we ask you to help us to always be open to guidance of spirit, whether through divination, intuition, clairvoyance, or whatever method. We know that you are here and that you are always willing and ready to talk to us. Help us to be willing and ready to talk to you, beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors. We thank you with great love and knowing you are always with us. Still, from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. May you be blessed now and always, and I'll see you again tomorrow.